My God. If so, then what do I do about it? Well, you can't know what to do about it if you don't know what it is. So, what did they mean? The disease of what? We're going to talk about the 4 different types of overeating. The first is a binge eater. A binge eater is not someone who is someone who will just eat. Maybe they'll go through a whole bag of barbecue chicken wings, and just a whole bag in one evening. And then they'll go several days and have nothing at all that's terribly offending. And then they'll go through a whole gallon of ice cream, butter pecan ice cream, or something that's their favorite. And, of course, binge eaters are gaining weight. That's one category of the disease called obesity. Okay? Bulimia. They're categorizing bulimia as part of the disease of obesity. Addiction. Bulimics overeat, but they overeat so much that they actually cause themselves to vomit because now they don't want to lose the weight. So bulimics they do what bingers do, but the difference with bingers is they don't vomit. They don't induce vomiting. Bulimics just gouge the food in, the whole gallon of ice cream, but then they go to the bathroom and induce vomiting because now, oh my God, I'm going to gain weight. That's a bulimic. Number 3, an anorexic is someone who is so afraid of gaining weight. In fact, when they look in the mirror, they actually see someone who is overweight. It is actually considered a psychological disorder and therefore disease, but they are so petrified that they're going to lose weight that they don't eat at all. They nibble. And even that little bit that they've nibbled, they then go into the bathroom and induce vomiting. Now, the problem with the anorexic and the bulimic is the bulimic at least has eaten. And so when they induce vomiting, there's a whole lot to come out. The anorexic, the problem with that is when they induce vomiting, they didn't eat anything in the first place that was significant. So when they induce vomiting, they are now deathly ill, painfully ill. And I'm not going to call out any names, but we actually have famous actresses who are anorexic. In fact, I will call out. I'll leave that alone. I won't call out any names. But it's a very common disorder, especially among models, where it is prized that you be as lean as possible. And then lastly, we have one more category. And this I'm going to call the garden variety foodie, F-O-O-D-I-E. I don't know how many of you in the listening audience have heard the term foodie to describe an addict, a food addict, but that is an acceptable term and describes really what we'll call the everyday overeater. They're not binging, but when they go to Sunday fellowship, they clear the board. They clear the banquet table. They go to a buffet. They go back more than one time. They pick on your plate, and they clean theirs. They pick on your plate and the person next to you. That's a foodie. Those are the 4 categories that we're talking about that are under the category of obesity is a disease. Okay, well. There's only one problem, though. Disease of what? What do you mean? Is it disease to have too many chicken wings? They're saying that, and by the way, I'm not a fan of traditional medical doctors. I think they're excellent for crises, for trauma. They're very, very good with cardiovascular issues. The United States in particular is tops with cardiovascular issues. However, and diagnoses. However, they are not good with chronic care, diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke, and cancer, and, of course, the disease of obesity. So what do they mean? They are correct to say it's a disease, but what do they mean? They mean that the behavior is being done to the point where you cannot stop. You don't stop voluntarily. You can stop. You don't stop. I want to correct myself. You can stop. Everyone hear me very, very carefully. You don't stop. And you continue the behavior until you are ill or you have invited illness, diabetes, high blood pressure. The point being, why would someone continue to eat food to the point where they are ill? You have to admit, when someone pulls it apart that way, you have a better understanding about why it's a disease. That's a very good question. And this is a two-part series. The only way we can answer why would people indulge in chicken wings, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks coffee, why would you just not have one? Why do you take it to the point where you are now sick? If you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, and trust me, I know this is a touchy subject. I'm the author of the Serenity Weight Loss and Detoxification Program. I've been operating that program since 1992. Over 15,000 clients now. I know this is a touchy subject. But if you don't resolve this nagging feeling like Job, that something is terribly wrong with you, then you're not going to, your prayer is not accurate and precise because you don't even know what the problem is. So why would you eat to the point of illness? Isn't that a little bit kooky, everyone? If someone tells you over and over and over again, too much sugar invites diabetes, so then why on earth would one family member after the next? In fact, I've seen many of you, when someone dies of diabetes or the complications thereof, at the funeral, you're eating the very crap, yep, I said it, that caused your loved one to die. You're at the funeral, you're at the fellowship following the funeral, and you're eating the same foods that caused the death of your loved one. Why would you do that? That is kooky behavior, and that's why, ladies and gentlemen, your doctors, not me, your traditional doctors have categorized the behavior as a disease. A disease. Well, what do you say about that, everyone? What say ye? What is that? A disease is a behavior that you do not stop voluntarily, even though the behavior is destructive. So then you might ask, well, then are you saying I'm addicted to chicken wings? Well, I'm not addicted to chicken wings. I just like chicken wings. I just like fried chicken. I'm not addicted to it. I'm not like a cocaine addict. In fact, sometimes I hear you in the spirit, listening audience. I hear you. The first thing you're thinking, all of you out there who are carrying too much weight, I know what you're thinking. You're saying, but many times I don't eat at all. I can go all day without eating. I skip breakfast, and I really don't eat anything sometimes other than coffee and a little snack. I don't eat anything till I get home. I eat maybe 1 or 2 times a day. How is that an addiction? Well, here's the problem, and that's why this is confusing. The disease of obesity, unlike all other diseases, cocaine, heroin, meth, all of it, crack, it is the only alcohol. How could we forget alcohol? It is the only disease where you will voluntarily walk past your addiction, your substance. For example, if in the morning a cocaine addict gets up and has a refrigerator full of cocaine, do you mean to tell me they're going to, oops, I'm running late, let me get out of here and skip the cocaine that's in the refrigerator? Of course not. But a foodie will do that. Oh, I got to hurry up, I got to go. Oh, I'm running late. And so foodies skip breakfast all the time. I hear you. I hear you. You're right. You do skip meals all the time. And so you're probably thinking, well, how could I be an addict? Half the time I'm not even eating. Well, that's why this is a two-part series. Everyone, I hope that you're listening to me, and I hope you're taking notes. And in my humble but accurate opinion, this is probably going to be the most important information you've heard about the issue of being overweight or obese. And that's why we're going to do it as a two-part. Tonight is the factual part, and I'm going to end this broadcast with the physical causes of obesity. And then the next week, we're going to talk about what are some of the emotional causes that are undergirding your addiction. So, everyone, you're right. You're absolutely right. And the foodie voluntarily walks past or can walk by their substance of choice. Unlike an alcoholic, if there's a refrigerator full of booze, they will not rush out the house and skip it. A cocaine addict, you have a refrigerator full of cocaine, they are not going to rush out the house and be on time for work and leave the cocaine sitting in the refrigerator. Nothing doing. But a foodie will do that. But it makes a foodie confused about this notion of it being an addiction. So we ask again, then addicted to what? We find our answer in Genesis in terms of emotional, and we're going to come to that. But in terms of physical, you are addicted to certain minerals and vitamins that are simply lacking in your body. And so there is actually a glossary of cravings that you can keep really on your mirror or on your refrigerator. And let me give you this glossary. So use your glossary to know what minerals and vitamins are missing, because if they are missing, you will have the craving to overindulge in certain foods, looking like an addiction, okay? And so if you're craving macaroni and cheese, ice cream, if you think about the common thread between those two substances, both of those contain calcium. They're dairy, right? And dairy contains calcium. So you can bet that if you have a mac and cheese craving, oh, I just got to have me some macaroni and cheese. And then next minute you say, oh, got to have me some ice cream. The commonality is they both have dairy. And so that craving is telling you you are deficient in calcium. But, of course, you don't say, what's the matter, body? You need calcium now? You don't say that because no one's taught you this. So bump up your calcium, not in pill form, in liquid form, because calcium is a very hard mineral and it's very hard to break down. Another example, you have cravings for sweets. Now, this is an example where the craving is not an indicator that you need more sugar. This time, the craving is giving you information that you have a problem with the sugar that you already have in your body. So, everyone, cravings for sugar is typically a red flag that your sugar is already up. You're already flirting with diabetes, okay? In other words, all diabetics, and it's a terrible, cruel twist of fate, but all diabetics have ravenous cravings for sugar. And so when I hear a diabetic say, oh, girl, I can't get rid of my sugar cravings, my response is, well, you better get rid of it, because that addiction is going to kill you. And see, no one is telling you this.